in my boat.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Ryno.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
And a good evening to you. Breaking news, and it is not the good kind. No Keegan Murray tonight for the Kings against the Nuggets. We knew about Kevin Huerter. Keegan popped up later this afternoon on the injury report, listed as questionable with a sore left ankle. He is out officially. We await word about Jamal Murray. He was listed as probable. So he will likely be giving it a go as the Kings start a big homestand, huge homestand, a homestand that I am calling their midterm. I think this will determine whether or not this team's going to be playing for the play-in or an actual playoff spot the rest of the season. We break it down on the other side. Get up in here. Ryan in Sacktown with you. The pregame show here on If You Don't Like That.
Break it down. It's Sacktown, we're the crown. Needs to be more aggressive on the offensive end, but this is the kind of Williams, the Bucks, goodbye. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like.
And welcome back in. Ryan in Sacktown with you, getting you ready for the Kings and the Nuggets. Don't forget, we've got coverage all night for you. Meaning halftime, Jerry Reynolds with us right here on the channel. Can't wait to catch up with Jerry. And don't forget about the postgame, the flagship here. We'll be taking your calls. Will it be a Kings beam, or will the Kings fall back one game under 500? We will see as the Kings return home after breaking the curse in New Orleans. They've had an extended break, getting some practice in, although practice this time of year does not mean contact. But for your guys that are younger, your bench by committee, it's important time. It's very important time for them to get some time with the veterans, get some rest, get some rehab. And as for Keegan Murray, I don't know, and I'll pose it to all of you. Get up in here. Let me know where you're watching the show from. By the way, new feature. Only on this show. When Grant's on with me, we can't do it as of right now. But if you would like to call the show and do it traditionally, not through Restream, we can do that. Here's the phone number for you. It's 916-822-9485. 916-822-9485. You can also text that same number, and we can get you on. So you can hit us up that way. You can hit us up with the link as well. But getting back to Keegan Murray, I don't know if there is a more difficult player on this Kings roster as it's currently constructed, considering the injuries right now. If there's a more difficult player to replace, and it's not just the game against the Nuggets, obviously the Joker coming into town, Denver, an NBA champion, Michael Malone, who got his first NBA win as a head coach in the old barn at Arco Arena, coaching your Sacramento Kings against, guess who? The Denver Nuggets. It's the first game after the Kings stayed in Sacramento when Vivek bought the team, but they're going to be ready to go. Jamal Murray, one very important piece of the puzzle for them. Waiting on word. If you guys see it before I do, throw it in the chat. Would love to get that up, give you some love for giving us that information on Jamal. I hear Jamal's going, but that could change. He's dealing with some hamstring tightness. You never know what can happen in warmups. But getting back to my point, I don't know if there's a harder player on this roster than Keegan Murray to replace. Keegan is the rock of the defense. in Sacktown. He is a guy that can guard multiple positions. He's dependable. You know what you are going to get on that end of the floor every single night he suits up. And as for the starting lineup tonight, no word as of the start of the show. Who's going to be stepping in? Is it going to be Jay Crowder? Is it going to be Isaac Jones? What's it going to be? We've got some comments from Coach Brown from practice yesterday that we will get to here in a few minutes. But as I said, breaking news, if you are just joining us.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
No Keegan. No Keegan Murray tonight. No Kevin Huerter. We expected Kevin Huerter not to play. We knew that in advance. Keegan was a surprise, a big surprise. He popped up on the injury report earlier today, right around, I want to say 3 o'clock. So really interesting stuff. David, what's up, my man? How you doing tonight? Thanks for being
Holla
here.
at you, Ooze.
Holla at you. Tristan, how are the Kings favored? Let's go. Yeah, they're favored by 1.5. The Nuggets have been very up and down this season. They go as Jokic goes. Also, they had been dealing with injuries as well. Remember, the Kings have won 3 of the last 5 between these two teams. Now, a couple of those meetings did not have Jamal Murray. I know Nate says don't put any weight to it. I say it still has some meaning because Jokic played, and when Sabonis and Jokic get together, they seem to just cancel each other out for the most part. One guy doesn't have a massive game typically. Now, Jokic had a big game. The game Sabonis missed in 22-23 due to the avulsion fracture. But since then, because they have such a similar style, they kind of, how else do you put it? How would you guys put it in the chat? I say they cancel each other out. In fact, one of the most memorable wins for me for this Kings team last year was the win in Denver. It was the last game before the All-Star break, and it was the first time the Kings won ugly. It's a low-scoring game. They picked up the win. So dramatically different tonight, though. Without Keegan Murray, I can't emphasize it, regardless of what you want to say about his offensive game, you are losing so much on the defensive end, not just from him as a player, but what you can go to in the playbook. If you're Mike Brown defensively, you know, usually the key to guarding a guy like Jokic, I shouldn't even say guarding, to controlling a player like Jokic is throwing multiple looks at him, right? You're going to see some Sabonis. You're going to see some Alex Len. You probably would have definitely seen some Keegan Murray at times. And now what do you have? You've got Sabonis, you've got Len, and then what? So still waiting on who the Kings are going to start. Keeping my eyes peeled to my phone as we go along. What's up, Furious? Hope you're having a good night. Andrew, welcome in, dude. Thanks for being here. Sabonis versus Joker. Yes, indeed. Frank, what's up again? Start McBuckets. You might see it. You very well could. I just see defensively, though, I am thinking strictly defensively. If I'm Mike Brown, my guess is, knowing the way that Coach Brown coaches based off his track record, I think you probably see Jay Crowder. I think it's probably Jay Crowder in the starting lineup. If it's not Jay Crowder, I would personally, because of the matchups, I would throw Isaac into the starting lineup in this one. Hell, we might be completely off. I may be off. It might be Alex Len. Could be McBucket. So who do you guys think should start for Keegan? Put it in the chat. Carl, yep, sore ankle. What's up, Mr. Asparagus? Are you hitting me up from John Finch's Grill? Is that where you're hitting me up from, Mr. Asparagus? Because I know you are on John's Grill right now. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, Brown says soreness. 209. What's up? So Asparagus, since you're from the 209, you're Mr. Asparagus. I assume you probably attend the Asparagus Festival. Seems like something Mr. Asparagus would do. What's up with asparagus ice cream? I don't know if I'm down with that. Yeah. Jones. Yeah. See, if I was coaching the team, I would start Jones tonight for a couple of reasons. You got to deal with Aaron Gordon. You've got to deal with some longer players out there. And also, the key to Denver, to me, the key for Denver, they're fifth in the NBA in pace. And we're going to look at some of their numbers here in a few minutes. But the key is controlling the pace. If you let Denver and Jokic control the pace that the game is at, then it's really hard to defeat them because they are number one in the NBA in assists, meaning they move the ball. They like to share it. They get it swinging around. So you have to work hard on both ends if you are the Kings. As we are looking at, I'm going to update my injury report right here. Jamal Murray no longer on the injury report, meaning he is a go for the Kings. Or for Denver. So Jamal Murray will be playing tonight. Christian Brown, he's out, though. That is decent news. Dario Saric, he is out as well. Most notable names, Deron Holmes, we already knew about that. He is out for the season. Rookie who torn his Achilles at Summer League. Hi, Lydia. How you doing tonight? Hope you are well. The Kings looking to go a game over 500 tonight. Big thanks, by the way, to Bennett's West Side Grill for sponsoring the pregame show today. Do us a favor, go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. You can find out more information about all three of their locations, prime cuts of seafood and steak. Also, excellent specials throughout the week and the weekends. We'll talk about them some more here in a little bit. So the Kings come into this one 13-13, 6-7 at home. If you were watching the Kings court earlier today, I said this is the Kings midterm. I truly believe this is the stretch of basketball at home that will determine which road the Kings go down for the rest of the season. Is it going to be contending for a playoff spot, or is it going to be contending for a play-in spot at best? You've got Denver at home tonight. Then you go and you've got the Lakers for 2 here in Sacramento. 2 huge games. Let's hope. Let's really hope that Keegan Murray's going to be good to go for the Lakers. Maybe even Kevin Huerter. We'll wait for that. Is this a precautionary move? You don't feel like it is because the Kings have had so much time off. The Kings have played 2 games in the last 8 days, pretty much. So back to this stretch at home. You've got the Lakers twice, then you've got Indiana, Detroit, and then you hit the road on the 28th. You go to LA to play the Lakers for the last time this season, and you are back home on the 30th to play Dallas. This is the easiest stretch of home basketball that is left on the roster or on the schedule. The Kings got to get it done during this stretch. Coach yesterday was asked about the tweaks to the offense that he's doing. And as we're listening to Coach, we will also start looking at some stats for Denver. We'll roll through some for the Kings as well. Here's what Coach had to say about the tweaks.
Knocking down shots.
Yeah, for the most part, we're preaching the same things. We have our stables offensively, we have our stables defensively. Those haven't changed dramatically. In the past, they're roughly the same, and it starts with our pace. And then from there, our spacing, ball reversals, paint touches, making quick decisions. And those things we preach all the time, or guys are starting to do a better job of it. But again, in fairness to them, we also had different lineups out there. I said in the preseason, we just played out of our early flow, and I'm getting to learn the team with DeMar. DeMar's getting to learn the team. The guys are getting to learn him. So there's some factors that, that are taking time to get to the level we want to be at with them. And I still think we have room to grow, but hopefully we'll take more steps forward than backwards as time goes on. But I caution everybody, we're still going to take some steps backwards. It's not going to be smooth sailing just because we've won 3 out of 4 or whatever we've won. We got a long way to go still.
All right, so Denver tonight going to be starting Jamal Murray, Russell Westbrook, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Jokic. I don't know if it's just me, but did y'all hear Mike Brown? He sounded a little hoarse to me. Wonder if there's a little something running through that building. We know some guys had been sick in the last week and a half. Regardless, they're still playing the damn game. Coach Brown was also asked about the defense. And I think this is really important to Frog's point, which we're going to get to here in a second. But here was Coach Brown on the defense.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, and that's why I don't ever want to say it's the players, it's the players, it's the players, because it's not. It's me too, and you know, it is what it is. But we lost an experienced coach in Jordy Fernandez that ran our defense, and Luke Laux is in charge of our defense now. This is the first time he's ever been on the front of the bench. He's a younger coach. This is the first time that he's been with a team where he's known as a coach too. Before this, he was in the front office and he was a player development coach before coming to Sacramento. And so it's going to take a little time for him and I to get a rhythm, with the players, and us as a staff, just in general, starting with me, to be able to make changes and or decisions on the fly. Because it's one thing to be able to sit back and watch video. You can pick up everything if you have a feel. When you sit back and watch video, it's another thing to where when the action is live and trying to make adjustments while trying to make rotations and figuring out what you're going to do offensively. And this guy's in foul trouble, so I got to make a change here, or we got to think about this for the second half. So there's a lot of decisions going on, and our staff, my staff, Jay, Luke, Doug, and all the guys behind the bench, they're growing just like the players are growing, and they're doing a fantastic job. And I'm on them just as hard as I am on the players, because we all have to be accountable for our success and failures, although it starts and ends with me. I'm going to take that on. So at the end of the day, when it comes to in-game adjustments, do we have a better feel today of what we're going to do as a staff than 2 months ago? Yeah, just like I have a better feel of what I'm going to do rotationally today instead of 2 months ago. And same with what we're going to run offensively or what we're going to do after timeouts.
Yeah, and some of that changes because you don't have Keegan Murray. You did not know that you were going to be without Keegan Murray. So, hey, Frank, if Fox called you, it's a violation of NBA rules. Don't tell anybody else. It's 183 that have either checked in or are watching between all of the different platforms right now. Keep that between yourselves. Or actually, Frank, if he did call you, it was from the designated cell phone person's phone, right? Because each team has one person that is designated to be able to communicate via cell phone once the game starts. A little bit of a different rule this year. Yes, they are both out lights. No Keegan Murray, no Kevin Herter. Jamal Murray is in as we bring you back in talking about this one. So I like Frog's question or statement. It was a little bit in between both. He said, Ryan, if the Kings can keep the other Nuggets in check, Jokic is going to get his. They have a chance. Yes and no. Yes and no. The way I say yes is if that does not include, or it does include, the three-point line. So the Nuggets are 30th in the NBA at taking three-pointers. They don't take a ton. 30, just over 30 a game. If that number's way up, it's going to be a problem for Sacramento. If that number's up, that means they are making them, which makes Jokic all the more dangerous, which makes you change the way that you are guarding. You have to drop off a little bit. You can't be as aggressive pushing them out because now you have to respect it. So can the Kings do that? Yes, Jokic will get his, but at the same time, I said it at the top of the show, Sabonis has traditionally done a very good job. This is one of those areas when you play Jokic, I'm not going to put Şengün in there because he's a little bit different. He goes down inside more than Jokic does, but this is where it's so valuable to have a Domantas Sabonis on your team. And there's only one of them in the NBA because he is that unicorn like Jokic that plays inside, plays outside. And so it's not irregular for him to be on the perimeter defensively and offensively. And that's where Jokic likes to live. So I think that the advantage that the Nuggets have on a normal night when they are not playing the Kings, it's more distinct than when they play the Kings because of Sabonis and the way he matches up with Jokic. Now, if we're talking about Alex Len out on the perimeter with Jokic, problem. If we're talking about Isaac Jones, I don't know yet. We're going to have to see tonight. Orlando Robinson, I don't know if this is a great game for Orlando. Coach's hand might be forced a little bit in this situation. In fact, Coach talked about who he needs to step up. One name we have not mentioned yet tonight, Keon Ellis. He's going to have a game off the bench, and he's going to have to guard bigger than he normally does in this one tonight. The pick and roll is so key to what Denver does. So can the Kings get through that and not leave a strong side man with the help defender? Here was Coach Brown talking about the rotations.
Again, it's one of those things we got to find it, and we got to find it by committee. It may not be one guy. Kevin's playing well for us. Even when he hasn't, quote unquote, shot the ball well, he's done a lot of little things at his size that have impacted the game the right way. So we just got to find it by committee. It may be one guy for 3-minute stretch and then another guy for a 2-minute stretch. And, again, guys going to get opportunities. And, if I'm behind Kevin, I'm going to try to come in and play hard, see where the chips fall, and take advantage of any opportunity that's given to me.
And that's what guys are going to have tonight. It's going to be opportunities. Lydia, is that confirmed? Because I've been checking my phone and I have not quite seen anything yet. Would love to hear from you guys on the phones. More than welcome to call via Restream. You can use the QR code. You can also call traditionally 916-822-9485. Jay kicks us off from the phones. What's up?
Well, I think you had a show at 2 p.m. today.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Good. How you doing, buddy?
Good. I missed your show. I was able to talk to Grant and ask him the keys to victory, and we weren't certain what's going on with Keegan at the time.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask him what the starting five would be. And I assumed it would have to be Crowder playing a small ball 4, someone you can put on Aaron Gordon who can handle his own weight down there.
Hold on, Jay. Let me cut you off really quick because I just got a text message so I can confirm this. It is going to be...
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
Doug McBucket stepping into the starting lineup for Keegan Murray.
That was the person that I said should not start to Grant, but okay.
Well,
I would probably put Isaac Jones before him.
Yeah, look, I think that anybody that Coach Brown is putting into the starting lineup isn't ideal. Nobody on that team is Keegan Murray when it comes to defense. Coach Brown's opting for offense here rather than defense to see if Dougie can get something going. I think it's going to be a heavy dose of Isaac Jones and Alex Len tonight. I would say if I had to take Dougie or Orlando Robinson in this one, I would probably play Doug over Orlando. But starting Doug, I don't know. Coach is going with the veteran.
I guess that makes sense. Like I was going to say, Michael Porter is a very tall, small forward, 6'10", 6'11" guy. So you put Jay Crowder in there about 6'6". You have the manpower to hang in there with Gordon, but you're going to be small on the perimeter for sure with that length, with those guys down there, Jokic, Gordon, and the other guy, Porter Jr. His brothers got kicked out of the Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that's who I was gonna go with. I'm not sure you're gonna actually see that type of rotation tonight. I think that, and I asked Grant this too. Are you okay with Fox and probably Sabonis playing 40+ minutes tonight?
Absolutely.
They're going to,
Absolutely.
yeah, I would assume he would do that. Grant brought up the previous break that they had. It was a long break, and then they also have another 3 days off after this. Well, 2 full days. So hoping that's the idea. I don't really see him experiment. I really hope he doesn't experiment. Tonight's not the night to experiment with that 3-man Lane, Robinson, and Jones. Like you pick one and you stick with one to give Sabonis a 2-minute rest. Every so often.
Yeah, well, so here's the thing. I still feel like you need to throw different looks at Jokic tonight. I think that's going to be
Yeah.
important. The question is, how you going to do that? Before, it would have been Keegan, Sabonis, and
Trey.
Well, Trey's not healthy,
Yeah,
so
I
you
know.
don't have him. Probably Alex Len or Isaac Jones, whichever one he went with first there. Probably Isaac, in my opinion, because
I'm not
I think.
disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing. I'm shaking my head no because he's going to cook them. Like Chef Jokic is in the house right now. Like
Well,
it's going to be hard to watch that.
Coach Brown this might be a night where we see them go a little bit more zone defense, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with it.
And
Uh,
I'm not saying we're going to lose either when I say
yeah,
that either because I firmly believe we have the better perimeter players. I think Fox is better than Jamal Murray. I think DeMar can hang with Michael Porter Jr. At least keep up the scoring pace with that guy. It's Jokic that's the issue.
but it becomes, and here's the key, because Sabonis, for whatever reason, has had an issue with it this year. Jay, is foul trouble. Sabonis
You're right.
has to stay out of foul trouble tonight. If he gets in foul trouble,
Everybody has to stay out of foul trouble.
Yeah, but especially the bigs. The bigs, there is no room for it tonight. So Sabonis, I know he plays that reckless abandon style, but you got to play with a little bit of caution tonight and try to know the right places to pick your spots.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe Christian Braun is his name. He's not playing, right?
He's out. Yeah.
Now he's a new guy to the NBA. His rookie season was last season, but he's been doing well. I think he started a few games this year for the Nuggets, and I've been kind of paying attention to him as well. So that's kind of good news, I guess you could say, for the Kings, is that they're kind of shorthanded on their bench. Westbrook, though, has been doing fairly decent for the Nuggets. He's a great passer. He's been averaging like 9 assists, I think. Don't quote me on that, but every game that I've watched him, he's done pretty solid. So that's an issue, but their bench is pretty short, just like ours tonight. So
it absolutely is. You're right. So both teams are going into it. It just so happens that Brown is a good player, he's not as important as Keegan Murray to what the Kings
absolutely
do
not.
defensively.
Yeah.
I'll say this: they use him a little bit as they treat Brown, however you want to say it, as a kind of like an Alex Caruso. They treat him in that way where they put him in different positions. He distributes with that second unit. He can play with the first unit. So that will hurt them a little bit pace-wise. And as for Russell Westbrook, the Kings have played him, or he's struggled, I should say, pretty heavily the last few times that they've met up. So maybe that continues tonight. Everything's going to have to break right for the Kings. Period.
Same Jamal Murray. I think he's only been averaging like 18 or something like that. So I really hope he's not due for a big night from the 3-point line. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting. But I really think we can hang with any team. I really do. I mean, there's a few teams that obviously are clearly, like the Celtics. They're just more talented all around the roster.
Yeah.
But the Nuggets is a team that we can hang with. I really do believe that. And we'll see. I mean, tonight, Keegan is huge for us. He's our point of attack defender. Keon is kind of one of those guys too. But, Keon's good for guarding your point guard or a shooting guard. He's not really good for Michael Porter Jr. or Aaron Gordon down there.
No.
So we'll see. I don't know. What do you think the outcome of this game is? The final score?
I'll tell you at halftime.
Okay, what do you think the halftime score is?
I think it'll probably be. I think Denver will get up a little bit early, not too much. I think the Kings will come back second quarter. Denver goes on a little bit more of a run. I think probably a 6 or 7 point lead for Denver at the half.
Okay, I was going to say about 8, like 58-50, around there. No more than, hopefully no more than that.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be a long night.
For sure.
Yeah.
Call us after the game, brother. Appreciate
I will,
you.
for sure.
All right, Jay, kicking off the calls. Love it. Frog asked earlier. Frog said, would this be a signature win? No, it would not be a signature win, but it would be one of the more impressive wins by the Kings on the season if they get this one. And even if Keon can't guard the guys down low that Jay was talking about, you need him and everybody else on the perimeter. In fact, there's one name that we have not mentioned yet tonight, and I have a feeling this guy is going to loom large. He is going to loom large if the Kings win this game. His name's Colby Jones. He's been getting spot minutes here and there, and defensively, he has actually been playing very well. Offense, still a little bit of a struggle. Consistency is not quite where you want it, but defensively, Colby has played very well. So that is another guy who I think will actually get some of, even though he does not play the same minutes, Mike Brown's going to have to go small tonight. Expect to see a decent dose of Colby Jones. Here's a coach on Colby.
Like needs to be cleaned up.
What I'm thinking with Colby is he just has to get comfortable because he's shown on the G League level that he can shoot it to a certain degree, he can score it. But on our level, he's starting to show he can have, he can touch the paint and spray it. He's a pretty good defender with strength. He's taken a couple of guys have driven at him and put that back shoulder in him. A lot of times you guys see it with Keegan a lot. When Keegan puts his back shoulder into you, you're stumbling. And it's not a foul. It's just that's how strong and big he is. And Kobe can take that back shoulder hit from most guards and not fold. Still be able to take the hit and step slide and then contest. And so at his size, strength, and athleticism, you like what he does defensively, especially when it's guarding the basketball. You like the fact that at times, because it's going to happen when he gets beat, he still finds a way to impact the play. He's had a couple of blocks from behind a couple of times when he's gotten beat. He attacks the offensive glass. Every single time the shot goes up, he's come up with a couple of offensive rebounds. Gets after loose balls. He will run. So there's some things that you like about Colby as a young player, and you just hope that when he has an opportunity, he can, again, when I say do those things at a high level, I'm not talking about be the best or be perfect, but try to execute those things while playing harder than anybody else, and then if he's open, he's got to let it go and let it go with confidence.
He certainly does. Chris Weber, what's up, Chris? How you doing, man? How the book sells? I heard they're not going so well, Chris. Good to see you in the chat. Hey, Frog, I don't disagree with you about the 3 ball. So let's talk about that really quick. What do the Kings need to do well to win this game? First and foremost, I said it earlier, the Kings have to be the team that's in control of the pace, meaning you cannot let Denver control the pace, especially with fouling. That's one way that Denver will control it. If the Kings are fouling too much, it's not going to be a good combination. Denver is number 1 in the NBA in free throw attempts and also number 1 in made free throws. However, they're 27th in free throw percentage. Regardless of whether or not the ball goes in, play stops. You want to get up and run if you're the Kings. Guarding the pick and roll is going to loom huge. Absolutely huge. We know, I'm not going to add it as a key because we know they have to do it. They can't allow open threes on the strong side. That can't happen tonight. Denver is too good of a team. That aside, because that's an every night thing, the Kings are going to have to lace the three ball tonight. The Kings have to make their threes at a high percentage. Talking about why coach would turn to Doug, I look at Denver's stats, what they do, 25th in the NBA. So they're fifth worst, allowing the most attempts to their opponent, and also 3-point percentage. They're 14th in the NBA, so they're about average at 3-point percentage for their opponents. So that is where the Kings are going to have to step up. Also, the Kings are going to have to get second opportunities because Jokic plays so far out. You've got to control the offensive boards. The Kings had a huge night on the offensive boards a couple of games ago. I believe it was 19. So they're going to have a repeat performance of that. Those are really my big keys to this one. The foul trouble. Sabonis cannot get in foul trouble. Denver, look, the fundamentals, they're a good team. As C-Web said, Mike Malone is going to want this one. Mike Malone's going to want this one bad. That's a fiery dude. That's a guy that felt like he shouldn't have lost his job here in Sacramento, and I don't necessarily disagree with him. So certainly he is going to be up in their business. Why no Herter? Because if you remember last game in New Orleans, he was going up for a shot under the hoop, and he did a pump fake, and then the guy came into his shoulder. He has a sprained AC joint. And that, for anybody that's ever had one, is extremely painful. So painful. Your AC joint is the part on your shoulder where there's that bump right there. It's where the joints meet up. And so that is why you have no Kevin Huerter tonight. Keegan, because of a sore left ankle. Maybe Doug's been on a heater in practice. Yeah, maybe. Look, Coach Brown talked about that too. He was asked about how he judges the back end of the bench because he's doing a lot of it by committee. Remember the minutes last game? Isaac Jones played, I believe, 5 minutes. Len played 6 minutes, and Orlando Robinson played 3 minutes, I believe it was, off the top of my head. And coach said it's more of a game thing. It's not so much practice. It is the games that help him decide. He wants to see, especially late in the games, if it's a blowout, when the Kings are either up big or down big and Coach Brown finally pulls the guys out. That's how he judges the back of the end, or the back end of the bench, by who's playing hard and doing the things that they are supposed to be doing or they game planned for. So it's more game predicated. Look, you know what you're getting with Doug McDermott. He's going to have a green light to shoot anytime his hands touch the ball and he's open. If he has a hint of daylight, he's going to be told to shoot the ball tonight. Hopefully you get some scoring there. Now, can they score more than 9 points with no Herter? Absolutely. They can still score more than 9 points off the bench, but that goes back to the Kings sticking with their principles. They've got to continue with the pick and roll offense. Malik Monk's numbers. In fact, Coach Malone talked about it before the game, how much of a problem Malik Monk has been. In fact, I don't have the sound drop ready to go, but just the pick and roll, the change in the offense now that Malik has been in there, his assist to turnover ratio is through the roof right now. Coming into last game, he was 16th in the NBA. He is almost at a 4-to-1 ratio assist to turnover. So really good stuff. That has to continue. But again, no fouls. You got to control the offensive boards. You got to get second opportunities if you're Sacramento. And you're going to have to hit your threes. And you have to, last point, you have to control the pace with Denver. Do not let Denver control the pace for the Kings. They do all those things, they're going to have a chance. This will not be a signature win, but this will be a very impressive win if the Kings are able to pull this one off. Before the news about Keegan Murray, the Kings were favored 1.5. In fact, they are still favored 1.5 coming into this one. So we will be back at halftime. Don't forget about that. Jerry Reynolds will be with us. Looking forward to talking with the one and only. Haven't seen him in a few days. So it'll be nice to catch up with Jerry, be taking your questions and giving you the keys to the second half, giving you our final scores, and we'll want to get your final scores. By the way, we've been all over it. I had the final score spot on. Jerry was off 1 point last game. And then Grant, he had to say, I think CJ McCollum's going to make a 3 to win this one. And what does CJ almost do? This guy almost brings New Orleans back right there at the end. So we were all peppering it. We were all right in some way. See if you can predict the final score with us at halftime. Would love to have you here. And then obviously after the game, we are back taking your phone calls and breaking it down, hopefully with a beam behind us. Talking about the Kings being 1 game over 500. Not only is this an opportunity for the Kings to go 1 game over 500, this is also an opportunity for the Kings to go 500 on the season at the Golden One Center. That matters. Again, I started off the show saying this, and I'm going to end the show saying this. This is the Kings' midterm to me. This is not necessarily this game alone. The next stretch of games, tonight with Denver, you've got 2 with LA here in Sacramento. Then you have Detroit, you have Indiana, Detroit, then you are in LA against the Lakers, and then you are back home versus Dallas to close out 2024. That stretch of games, it's the easiest home stretch left on the schedule. That stretch of games, to me, will determine whether or not this team will be battling for a playoff spot the rest of the season or be battling to make the play-in. The schedule's that brutal. That's how important it is to this team, I think. So we will see 24 minutes of basketball coming your way from the G1C. If you are at the game, make some noise. I think they're giving out cowbells tonight. So make sure you use those. If you're just joining us, yes, Andrew, no Keegan. He is out with a sore left ankle. Andrew getting in early, 114, 109, Kings. Okay, Frog, 120, 114, Kings. Wolf, 123, 120. I assume he's going Kings. Donald saying 111, 109. Either way, there you go. Andrew, good to see you. Ryan, always fun. Haven't tuned in recently. Glad I'm here. Glad you're here too. Welcome back, Andrew. Can acknowledge
me.
Good job, my man. Appreciate you. Denver, look, up and down team, 13-10 on the season, 6-6 away from their place. I don't remember the name of the brand. What's the brand that makes the mason jars? Yeah, that's the brand that sponsors their arena. Last 10 games, Denver, what have they done? They have gone they're 500 in the last 10 games. They're 5-5, 2-game winning streak for them. The Kings come in on a 3-game winning streak, the longest of the season. So we will see how it goes. Big thanks again to Bennett for sponsoring today's pregame show for the Kings and the Nuggets. Make sure you get to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. You can check out all their menus, specials, 3 locations in the greater Sacramento area, prime cuts of seafood and steak, some of our favorite items there. Y'all are finding the secret treasures too. You found out about the meatloaf, you know about the skirt steak. You're getting it. The steak or the Cobb salad, the steak Cobb salad. Come on now. You know what I'm talking about. Lights, yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be a 1-possession win. We will see. Look, these teams have played some close games. The last few games between these teams, let's see. I don't have it up in front of me. Let me see if I can grab it one more place. I'm not prepared with that. But the Kings have won 3 of the last 5 meetings between these two teams. Take it for what it's worth. Denver has been injured, but you've got Dougie McBucket stepping into the starting lineup. We will see you after the first half. Can't wait to talk about it with you. Grant and Jerry here live talking Kings and Nuggets. Have a great first half, do us a favor, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, a retweet. Goes a long ways for the algorithm, and we would really appreciate it. And thank you to everybody for calling, chatting, and everything. Participation. Y'all are the best. We'll see you at the half. So long.